Hi there, welcome to Flogan Dreams. This is my palettes revisited for May. Welcome to everybody watching today. Thank you so very much for joining me. In case you don't know what this video is about, I come on here once a month where I've used eyeshadow palettes that have been in my collection for some time, that are old favorites, or that I just want to play around with yet again. So that's palettes revisited. I kind of ran out of time in May, which is why you're getting this video at the start of June, but I had a lot of fun playing around with these eyeshadow palettes again. So let me chat to you about what it is that I love about these and why they are still part of my collection. So for May, I decided to change things up. This is an aim, a goal I have for 2025 is to make single shadows part of this series. I've so far only managed to do it in May. I keep forgetting. I forgot again in June, but it's fine. June is a shorter month. I'll probably pick it up after summer again, but I did build myself a little 9-pan. Now, I've forgotten the shade names of these shades, but I do know what brand they're from, so I'll make sure to list the exact shade name of each shade in the description box down below because I have it somewhere. And the look I'm wearing today is with this palette. So I did 2 looks in total because I did want to make sure I used all 9 shades, and I'm wearing a look using these 4 shades at the bottom. So I did a look with like the neutrally purpley sort of bit, and I did a look with all the periwinkle purpley things. In case you're unaware, periwinkle is one of my favorite shades, and I really like this look and the way it turned out. So what's in here is an Inglot shade. This is Sydney Grace. This is a deep potted Juvia Play shade from the Mauves palette. This is Lethal Cosmetics. This is Looxi Beauty, which I don't think that's a brand anymore. Correct me if I'm wrong. Clionadh, this is one of their multi-chromes. They do these multi-chromes where they look white in the pan, but they have a different flash. Depending on what shade you're picking. I have a bunch of those because they are so beautiful layered in the inner corner or over other shadows. So those are some of my favorite multi-chromes to wear. This is by Terramoons, this is by Clionadh, and that one is again by Sydney Grace. Sydney Grace is one of my favorites when it comes to singles, as is Clionadh. Terramoons do some really beautiful things as well. That multi-chrome shimmer all over the lid is in fact that Terramoons shade right there. So I think this is a good reflection of what you can find in my singles collection. So let me know what kind of color story you would like me to build next, because then sometime in the summertime I can start picking that up. And that's something I used to do actually. I used to make videos where I would put together single palettes based on your recommendations of shades I should put together. I do have to say though, my singles collection isn't an entire rainbow of spectrums. I've really tried to gear that towards things I really love and I would wear. So there aren't a lot of warm tones in my singles collection. Those have all been culled over the years, but I have a couple of classics in there. I have good neutrals, lots of cool tones. I have a dedicated green, blue, and purple singles palette, so in case you want to know what kind of things I could potentially make, because I'm not about to buy single shadows just to create these palettes because I have plenty already. But yeah, those are 2 of the things that I did. Oh, and then the second look I did, because I'm almost forgetting, I did it with these 5 shades. So I put this one in the crease, this one went all over the lid, this one was in the inner corner. I used this one as liner, which was really pretty because the Lethal Cosmetics mattes are incredibly pigmented, so they work really well whichever way you want to use them. And then I used a little bit of this Tiara shade, I believe that's what it's called, from Sydney Grace, on the lower lash line. And then for this look, as I already mentioned, this is all over the lid. I put the Inglot in the crease, and I really decided to bring it up really high, which you can't really see, but it's practically in my brow hairs. That's how high up it is. And then I have Clionadh's, I think it was Fluorescence, which is in the inner corner. And then I put a little bit of this Clionadh shade. They also did some round pans. Those don't come back into stock all that often, but that's what's on the lower lash line. So I love this sort of like periwinkle blue moment. It's one of my favorites. It's the reason for me selecting some more periwinkle shades that I already had in my palette collection for June to go back to as well. So if you see this video at the end of this month or at the start of the next month, then you know that that's what I was playing with. I also got some compliments of the look you saw me wearing yesterday when I filmed my Declutter Regrets video. I actually am wearing the Juvia's Place, the Tribe palette. This is a long-standing favorite in my makeup collection, but it was discontinued a long time ago as well. So someone was asking me like, hey, like, do you film that as well? But I do the same thing every single time. So whenever you see me do an eye look, I just put a matte in the crease, I put a shimmer all over the lid, I use a darker shade as liner, I put 1 or 2 shades on the lower lash line, and then I stick the lightest shade in the inner corner. That's all I do. I don't do a whole lot with it. But this is the thing that I used, and the look I decided to do with it, because this is beautiful. I ignore the oranges in this palette. I'm sorry, I just don't go for it. But I love these 3 shades, I love the shade in the middle, and I love these 3 shades. And I wanted to go a little bit more green toned, but not have it to be too green toned. So I ended up going with this in the crease. I ended up using this on the lower lash line and a little bit of these 2 as liner, because this by itself was a little bit too light, and I decided to top it over with this one. This color is a little bit too intense and too much of a contrast with this green, so I ended up going with this bronze shade in the middle over the lid, and I just used this a little bit in the inner corner. And this shade looks really boring and like something I wouldn't like, but I think especially in the makeup look I wore, but here you can see it as well, it has a green flash. So when the light hits your lids, it doesn't look bronze, but it has that green sheen that really brought the look together. So I was really happy, especially with what it looked like on camera. And some of you were mentioning as well how much you liked it. So yeah, Juvia's Place, the Tribe, long since discontinued. You can no longer buy this, but I still love mine to pieces, and I'm really glad I went back to it again. Then a palette that I salvaged from my makeup declutter. I went through a makeup declutter in March, posted that for you guys, and I was on the fence about this one. I wasn't sure. I was like, I'm not reaching for it, but I love Sydney Grace. There's a reason why 2 of the shades in the singles palette I built for myself this month are Sydney Grace, because I think their quality is amazing. It's just that color story wise, their palettes never wow me. So I decided to pull some shades from the other palettes I had, but I decided to keep the Heaven on Earth as is. I love the little turtle guy on the front. And I ended up going with a look with these green tones in the middle. That is my favorite look in the palette, believe it or not. The neutrals are mainly warm toned, which is why I don't love this. Like, if this had been more cool toned, I would have liked this better. And the blue row is nice, but these are super bright on my skin tone. Like, they look like they're going to be this murky, almost gray leaning shades, but on me, they pull like bright turquoise, and I'm like, don't love that. And then the gap between these darker shades and these brighter shades is just a little bit too much of a step up. So I just went in with my comfort zone, my favorite shades, which are these green tones. And these green tones do have that grayish undertone that I was hoping those blues had as well. So yeah, I'm liking the green tones in here best, so that's probably what I'm going to be using this palette for the most. For this like murky yet vibrant green toned look that has a khaki base but that isn't too warm toned. Like with khaki shades, they can sometimes pull a little bit yellow on me, but these have that perfect sort of gray sort of vibe to them, so that's why I like them. So this is a beautiful palette. I'm really glad I got to play with it again. Like I mentioned, it's not that I don't like this palette for the quality. It is chef's kiss, some of the best eyeshadow quality money can buy. I'm not gonna lie, Sydney Grace is one of my favorite formulas. Their mattes are super smooth and blendable. Their shimmers are incredibly easy to work with, but it is the shimmers that are the main letdown for me, because nothing really goes beyond a satin sort of shimmer level in their palettes. Like there's nothing exciting like this in these Sydney Grace palettes, which is always a bit like I just have more exciting things in my makeup collection, and I therefore forget about these. But if you're looking for a very solid, really well done formula, then Sydney Grace is one of the best ones out there. They can be pricey if you're in Europe, but it can help to order it together with a friend if you want to. And Monolith did have them for a little while, but I'm not sure if there's still any new things on there. I don't know if it ever restocked. But I do know that this palette was on Monolith for a little while. So if they still have any left on there, that may be the route to go if you're in Europe, because Monolith does stock a lot of US based and also like outside of the EU based indie brands. And that's how I get a lot of mine actually. So the Heaven on Earth by Sydney Grace is an excellent, excellent palette indeed. A palette I did film with, so if you want to see me put a makeup look together, then have a look at my Get Ready With Me that went live the other day. This is the Gemini 2 from Melt Cosmetics. And I was wearing a pink and red outfit that day and I was like, that's perfect to go with this. So I did lean quite heavily into these like pinky tones that it has. I think I put a little bit of the green on the lower lash line, but I kind of left it at that. I think this is excellent quality. I didn't buy this with my own money. This was gifted to me by a friend. So because I kind of knew that this wasn't exactly right for me, but I ended up liking it a lot more than I had expected, which is why it's still in my collection. I just like the tones of this. Yes, it is warm toned. So if you don't like warm tones, you're not gonna like this. But I think there are a couple of really, really solid shades in here. It's like brown leaning rosy tones. Like the only issue I have is that the rosy tones are just so close together that depending on, like, it doesn't really look any different whichever shade I'm using. So that's the only downside, but yeah, it has some beautiful shades in. I put the shimmer all over the lid, which was a bit of a because it turned it really dark and a bit smokier than I had expected because it has a very deep base in it. I think if I remember correctly, I ended up using this shade in the crease, this all over the lid, this was on the lower lash line. I think I used this like deeper plummy tone as a bit of liner, and then I just used one of these mattes in the inner corner, or I might have used my actual highlighter. That's sometimes what I do if I feel a palette doesn't have a really good inner corner highlight for me. I just use my face highlight. Works every time. So yeah, still loving that one as well. I mentioned Monolith just now, and I'm going to have to mention them again because the Sugar and Spice from Glaminatrix is one that I purchased through them. So in case you're looking for indie palettes and you're in Europe and you find them very expensive to import yourself, have a look at Monolith. You can use my code, which I'll pop on the screen. It's always in the description box as well. So if you want to use my code to get 5% off, then you can. And I think word on the street is that the 15th of June, Monolith will have their next restock. So there's a lot of other things already coming their way. So it's already on Instagram what new products they will have in. But they usually also restock products once a month. And for June, it's going to be on the 15th. So that will be next week. But here is the Sugar and Spice. I don't think this is still around. Meh. But I thought, you know, this is such a fun spring vibe palette. We were in May. I thought that could be fun. You have a full row of pastels in here, some neutral mattes in the middle, and then these really fun, almost like multi-chrome sparkles in the top row. I went with the most boring look possible with this, but those are my favorite shades in the palette, I'm not gonna lie. I use this in the crease. I think I use this as liner. I use this all over the lid, and I use this in the inner corner. I don't remember what I put on the lower lash line. Probably like one of those sparkly things. It's an amazingly good quality palette. I wasn't sold on Glaminatrix all that much. I got 2 or 3 of their palettes before from the official website in Australia. So before they ever came to Monolith or before I ever started shopping on there. And they had, let me see, I had the Nocturnal and I had the Nearly Natural. I bought those 2. And I liked it all right. It was fine, but it felt a little bit expensive for what it was. And then they changed formulas and they turned a lot of their palettes into these dime-sized eyeshadow palettes. And I've been loving them ever since. I got the Barely Basics in PR from Monolith. I also got the Nearly Natural now as well. So I have a couple of really solid Glaminatrix picks, and for me, they're only going up in terms of quality, and they have announced a new cool-toned eyeshadow palette, and guess what? Monolith offered that one to me in PR, so hopefully over the summertime I can go and review that for you. So yeah, Glaminatrix, I absolutely love and adore. And finally, another eyeshadow palette you know I love, and this is back! This was brought back by Huda Beauty. I'm so happy. This is the Rose Quartz. All of a sudden, it was here again. It hadn't been available for like a good year, year and a half, maybe even 2 years. And I thought it was discontinued, but apparently they brought it back and you can buy this again. It's on Cult Beauty. It's available through any retailer that sells Huda Beauty. This is such a good eyeshadow palette if you have fair skin. If you're like me, you have cool to neutral undertone, you want a little bit of warmth, but not too much, you want a little bit of interest, and you do want a very wearable pinky neutral palette, look no further than this, because this is just an excellent, excellent palette. Again, I went in with my comfort zone when using this because I love this shade and I love this in the crease, and I like going in with this and maybe a bit of this or this in the lower on the inner corner. I think I actually use this one with like that nice, like really nice bluey lilac-y flash. So beautiful. I just really like this palette. It has a lot going for it. I just ignore the weird shade. This like putty thing that it has, I ignore it. This is another one where I'm like, I could have done with an actual inner corner highlight because nothing here screams inner corner highlight. I can use this if I select the lighter shade there or this, but I don't always want a duochrome in my inner corner. You know what I mean? So it doesn't have a lot of options in that regard, but you can do a full pinky look with this. You can do a warm tone look with this. You can throw in some purples. You can make it a little bit more mauve toned, a little bit more taupe. It has a lot of options going for it. So I'm really glad I went back to this, and that I went back to this in the month it came back in stock. It's almost if I can foresee the future. I did not, because when I selected this, I was telling people like, unfortunately, it's no longer available. And people were like, what are you talking about? It came back in stock. I was like, really? So I checked it out, and it is still available. So if you don't have it yet, and you're looking for a really good, very versatile, light skin friendly eyeshadow palette that is neutral yet has some fun pops of color as well, then the Huda Beauty Rose Quartz is amazing. And those were the 6 things I played with again. So I'm really happy. I went back to some excellent palettes, and I had a lot of fun playing with these again. And remember, for this channel, it's not all about the new. I know that I would get so many more views if I would just review new eyeshadow palettes all the freaking time, but it's just not feasible, and I want to be able to go back to things. So I want to keep my makeup collection at a point where I can still go back to things and love them as much as I do, because these were all great yet again. So stay tuned, because I definitely have another one of these videos in store for you next month. I think I'm just going to have to do this video at the start of a new month by now, because I just keep running behind and I cannot fit it into the month, but it will be fine. I don't have that many very large palettes to play with in June, so I hope I can like figure out and do that thing as well, and just make sure I have my review set up and that I can go back to the palettes I have already selected. And if you want to know what is going to be featured in this next video, then you need to watch my Shop My Stashes, because in my Shop My Stash videos, I show you exactly what products I'm playing with every single month and what you can expect me to review. So if you want to know what sort of content is coming your way, then always check out my Shop My Stash videos, because those will give you that input. So thanks so much for being here today. Thumbs up this video if you liked it, and subscribe, because if you subscribe, then you will be notified when I post new videos, and you can watch a little bit of what I do on here. I post 4 times a week, so hope to see you again very, very soon in a new video. Bye-bye.